honor to our school district. We would like to recognize every team member from the varsity, junior varsity, and junior high squads who competed. We do have some cheer members participating in volleyball tonight, so we have a few missing, but would still like to recognize them. I'm going to announce the names in alphabetical order as you come up to the stage. Allison Antista, Caitlin Antista, Jessalyn Bowe, Aiden Chapa, Berkeley Cochran, Jade Dalkey, Mia Daniel, Addison Dietz, Adeline DuBose, Finley Galini, Dakota Garrison, Angela Garza, Catalina Ghana, Madison Gillum, Katie Gosh, Kendall Graham, Elizabeth Hagan, Sophia Hardage, Millie Hart, Violet Grace Hinkey, Caitlin Hernandez, Dakota Hess, Kylie Kernan, Presley Larson, Liv Parrish, Ainsley Percher, Rihanna Poole, Leah Reyes, Chloe Rodriguez, Caitlin Schaefer, Jake Schnautz, Madeline St. John, Carlin Strach, Riley Thompson, Mallory Velasquez, Annabella Velasquez, Tamara Villarreal, Bailey Weatherly, McKinley Whitlow, Landry Wilson, and Peyton Wyatt. As teams, our squads earned the following top awards. For the Cheer Championship Award, Navarro Varsity Cheer earned first place, Navarro JV Cheer earned second place, and Navarro Junior High Cheer earned first place. For the Sideline Championship Award, Navarro Varsity Cheer earned first place, Navarro Junior High Cheer earned first place. The Overall Spirit Champion Award went to Navarro Junior High Cheer, and the Camp Routine Championship Award went to Navarro Varsity Cheer earning first place. Navarro Junior High Cheer also earned first place. And overall, the Navarro Cheer program was given the UCA Top Banana Award. Additionally, our cheerleaders and mascots demonstrated extraordinary skill and teamwork, in which several of the team members earned the following outstanding individual achievements at camp. When I call your name, if you can come forward, please do. If you can't make your way down, just wait.
Landry, did you guys split this up and just come up on these side steps?
There we go.
And same thing on that side.
Okay. So our varsity All-American cheerleaders were Madison Gillum, Rihanna Poole, Jade Dalkey, Landry Wilson, Allie Antista, Ainsley Percher, and our All-American mascot, Jake Schnautz. Our JV All-American cheerleaders named were Leah Reyes, Kendall Graham, Katie Gosh, and Liv Parrish. And our junior high All-American cheerleader is Lila Grace Hankey. Earning the Pennant Forward Awards were Navarro Varsity, Madison Gillum, Navarro Junior High, Angela Garza, and our varsity mascot also earned the Blue Ribbon Leadership Award and the Ultimate Spirit Award. Congratulations. These outstanding results are a testament to our cheerleaders and mascots' commitment to excellence, as well as the exceptional coaching, guidance, and mentorship provided by varsity cheer coach Amy Dalkey, JV coach Andrea Velasquez, and junior high coach EJ Adams. Please join us in celebrating their achievements, which serve as an inspiration to their peers, the Navarro ISD community, and future generations of cheerleaders. Okay, can we even it out and get a few of you to come to this side? Because we're really up on this side.
Yeah, take like.
Basically from the flag over needs to come over here. There we go.
You're good. You're great.
Okay, that's better. Let's see if I can get it
construction update from AGCM.
Hello. Good evening, Ms. Sartain, members of the board, Ms. Epley. Got great progress, as you can see from the street. I don't often get to see it in the light, so coming tonight and being able to focus, I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. So we'll just jump right in. This is the work at the main entry. Really, I guess it would be the main exit there in the middle of all those lifts. But to the right in that larger opening would be like the entry into the reception vestibule for the high school. To the upper left there, that's going to be the library media center, which is now all framed out. This is the two-story portion. This is the east side of what we call Area A, the classroom wing. So you can see the waterproofing, more of all the sheathing, the cutouts for the windows. Yeah, the road work there in the front, we actually poured concrete there on Friday. And this is a view up on the roof. Overall view in the upper right-hand corner there. So that's the two-story portion. The darker gray, I guess if you will, the actual rooftop units to the left, they're starting to set the roof curves for the next round of putting rooftop units up on the roof. The bottom left there, that's the actual roofing, that's the final product. So the layers of insulation, you can kind of see how it steps there, and that final roofing system over the top. They're building the crickets, putting in the roof drains. Yeah, there's a lot of work happening up there on the roof. So on the inside of the first floor, we started labeling all the MEP piping, which is great. You can kind of see the little silver bendy items there. Those are the fire sprinklers. The fire sprinklers are all done on the first floor of the classroom. You can see the fire riser pipes, plumbing conduit. And then on the right-hand side there, you might notice some fancy sheetrock starting to go up under the fur downs. The second floor, again, we still have MEP finishing up there. So these are roof drains. You can see the plumbing, again, all the framing all the way up to the deck in most areas. Second floor, this is a wall in the science classroom. So you see the blocking in there for all the cabinetry, the plumbing for the sink in each room. So this is a view kind of from the open area right outside your competition gym, looking back towards the classroom area. So this is the opposite side of the big main firewall, additional classroom spaces that are all framed out. You'll also notice the roof decking complete through this area, which is almost to the auditorium. This would be the admin area. It's kind of looking down a corridor. I'm not sure if this was what's quote unquote labeled as the counselor side or the AP side. But again, all the framing, got temp lighting in that area. They started doing electrical rough-in. We have HVAC rough-in happening in this area too now as well. This is a look at the social stair in the open common area, and underneath is going to be the what's labeled as the CNA health science classrooms. Then on the top, upstairs from here, is the opposite side of the media center. This is kind of at the top of the stairs, looking towards the media center. We poured this concrete 2 weeks ago. So this is the last pour. So we don't have any more concrete for second floor, we're done. Roof decking at the cafeteria is complete. The kitchen area of the school, so this is all old already. There's framing all up around here, but you can see as of last Thursday they had the bottom track and top track laid out for walls. This is a view basically from the competition gym looking towards the auditorium. So that darker platform to the left of the lift there, that's where the spotlight booth will be upstairs. Downstairs would be the control booth looking out towards the stage. Again, roof decking going up on the auditorium. From the street on the south side, you see a lot of the CMU happening over there, so that's the CTE wing. Right from this view, the band hall is in front, it is near the back. Towards the front of us here is where dance and cheer will be, and then to the right is the actual CTE on the other side of that little wall you can see going up there. So as of today, they have almost all three sides of this area complete. So overview, I've kind of taken you around the school now. So this is part of a drone shot, kind of showed you the athletics portion. It was a real sunny day when they flew it this day, but starting from the left is your competition gym. Kind of in the middle there is the practice gym. And where you can see the dirt still, that's gonna be locker rooms, coaches' offices, there's a corridor there as well. And the deeper indention that you see around where we still need to pour concrete, I have a blown up picture there of the stem walls. Like every week I feel like I put on the weekly report stem walls and footing, like it's a big wall that they build down under the ground. And with the rain we've had over the last few weeks, they dig one day and then they're cleaning it out the next day. So it's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, but the plan is to pour this Friday. And that will conclude all the structural concrete for the building.
Melissa, while we're on this slide, I do want to point out to the board that once we had approval for the new athletics facility with a field house to address some of those spring sports as well as football, then we were able to reconfigure a wall in this existing locker room space. So rather than having that larger division for more male sports, just knowing that football takes up most of the locker room, now that will be pushed out to a field house, we wanted to even that space out for those office space and locker space, knowing that this will take care of those indoor sports, the gym-based sports, and have an equal space. And that really was just catching it before the walls are going in and being able to make that adjustment.
Yeah, so we made that adjustment a couple months ago. So now it's a matter of getting going on the athletics package to get those guys and girls all set up out there in the field house. So this is actually a rooftop pic down to the practice gym. I don't know, I wanted to show you guys how impactful and how big it really is. So looking down really into the practice gym, and then beyond to the weight room is also what I should have said earlier. So the weight room and locker rooms, coaches' offices back there in the background. So this is the student parking lot, almost complete. That awkward little corner there at the top of the screen, that was poured last Friday. So really have one more pour on the left here would kind of make out along the road to finish up the student parking lot. This is just an up close view of the band tower. So our band tower is 36 feet tall, 9 feet wide. We'll have water out there, electrical. They'll have switch to handle all the lights, the parking lot. So when they have their practice area, they'll be set up nice. So last month, there we are, not too much roof decking, roof curves just being created, being built up on the roof. And this month we have rooftop units, almost all the roof decking complete. The auditorium now is just probably complete by the end of the day today. Starting in the next 2 weeks, we're going to start erecting steel in the gym areas. So the fun news, in all transparency for the traffic signal, I've been talking to y'all for months on, by the summer. Well, I take part of the blame and trying to push a little bit harder. But finally last week, listen, y'all, if this needs to go before board approval, I need to figure out like where we are. And so the architect came to talk to me and he said, well, we're over our allowance because there's 208 lineal feet of diamond plate steel curves that the city required. So I said, well, why are we just now talking about this? Like, if that was gonna be an issue, why didn't we do that in the design process with the city? And Claycomb said, we were just trying to make the city happy. We had no idea of the cost impact of all that steel, but it's a big deal, the lead time on that. So it's not stopping anything right now, and I should have pointed it out in the site work picture. We still have parking lot for the staff and visitors that needs to be fine graded. We still have the connection at Link Road at the back of the school that needs to be finished. All the rest of the roads, the bus drive, so it's just gonna be out of sequence. Ideally, it would have been nicer to have that already done just for everything we've been going through. However, that's where we are right now. So Claycomb was supposed to go before TxDOT and offer some alternative, like a sawtooth concrete curb in lieu of diamond plate steel gold package. So that's next on the top of the challenge list to try to get through that. As far as furniture, fixtures, and equipment, the FF&E, we have more meetings with a few departments left coming up in the next 2 weeks. And then at Link Huber, we had a survey come back last week. Geotech is waiting for their permit with the county so they can do their excavating, boring around the area. And we had a meeting with the county, which was very productive. And we're looking to set up a meeting with the city to try to align timelines, yes. The work at the Link Huber intersection was contingent on our certificate of occupancy. And so in having another meeting now with the city, we're able to kind of focus on that area, with the county. The county said, hey, we have a lot of plans and there could be issues if you go and just do these turn lanes now with drainage and future work. So, okay, that's awesome. So now we're trying to set up a meeting with the city and just have a sit down conversation and say, can we not have that work be contingent on our certificate of occupancy? Should it take longer to get it going? Now the other, what was understood from that meeting with the county as well is that Claycomb would do the design, however the county would do the work. So we'd like to leverage that with the city as well to say, you have the county doing the work, so it's not like it's not gonna get finished. If indeed you want us to proceed with 2 turn lanes, knowing that the county's gonna make some changes here in the future.
Great. Is the county gonna be present when you meet with the city?
The first meeting, I want to put our feet in the water and just have a non-confrontational meeting with the city and say, hey, this is kind of our idea, this is the way it was leading, and see how that goes. And then from there, bring the county in. Because either way, we still need to wait for the geotech. The county said, give us a preliminary design so we can look at our schedule with it, and then we'll go from there. But we'll work with you and we'll try to figure it out. So I thought, well, let's just start with the city while we have other work to do, and then go from there.
I think it was a very promising meeting. Truly, it is about aligning the timeline. So the county already has a thoroughfare plan that involves the work in that intersection. The funding is there for that work, and the conversation was about waiting for their timeline. We just said, the city is saying we can't enter that school building unless it's complete. So if we can get the city to agree to wait on that timeline, align it with what the county was planning anyway for their thoroughfare project, and it doesn't hold up our occupancy, I think it's a win-win all the way around.
Yeah, and it was very nice of the county to bring forth that information, because in the meetings that we had a year and a half or so ago with everybody, nobody said anything about, well, we might make some changes, and how will that affect the drainage if you're just changing 150 feet down the road, right? So that was, it was very promising, like Ms. Epley said, so. Are there any other questions? Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go into our discussion on budget update.
I think we have
reviewing the student handbook for the 24-25 school year.
All right, thank you, Ms. Sartain. Board members, we did a revision of the student handbook. This is an annual revision. We get a template from the Texas Association of School Boards that allows us to review any changes related to law, as well as update any of our contact information. And the copy that you have in the board book is highlighted with the changes we made, predominantly to contact information for students and parents to know who they need to speak with, as well as updates of curriculum courses that are offered. The other things that you'll note are some specifics about senior activities, the programs of study for CTE, and then the big one that everyone looks at every year, the dress code. And so I've given you a handout that we placed in parent resources so that parents and students can have the discussion about the changes that we made. As you recall, we did have support from our student advisory to make a few changes. One was the removal of the prohibition on facial hair. They did want us to continue to say that it needs to be well groomed, and so we did remove that piece, and that is in there. I did have a family show up last week and asked me, does this work? And we talked through it, and yes, it works. And so I think we will have some adjustments with that, but talking about keeping those beards well groomed. And then the modest length change in our shorts, skirts, and dresses. And in having conversations with some students at our ice cream social, I think they understand what that means. They may want to try to, see if they can test it out. But as I said to them, part of our role is teaching you discernment. When you're making decisions about where you're going and what is appropriate dress for that location, if you've been notified that modest dress is what people are expecting, and you walk past the mirror that morning and you go, I wonder if someone's gonna think this isn't modest, that's probably a good indication that you need to change. And so we have, in the discussions I had with some students, I said, if you think, hey, someone might question it, I would suggest you bring a change of clothes. And we did talk about what the meaning of that is, because I think people want to associate a length. We don't want to get rulers back out. We specifically moved away from the 4-inch to try to get away from that, or mid-thigh, because we knew that, then we start getting into talking about body type, and are your thighs longer than my thighs, and things like that. And we really wanted to move away from that and really just indicate that we're looking to not see undergarments, and we're looking to not see private areas of your body. So that is the definition of modest. We did provide this dress code guideline with some cartoon visuals of individuals to try to assist people in making decisions about their dress code. But that was the main changes that you see in the handbook, as well, of course, the addition of our mandatory drug testing policy for extracurriculars 6th through 12th grade. We did also, in anticipation of the update to the board policy related to corporal punishment, update to remove that corporal punishment would be used as a discipline technique. We discussed that in our workshop, that we wanted to move away from that. We are not using it currently, even though it is listed as a discipline technique. We have lots of other options, and it really isn't something that anyone is choosing to use. So that is the update to the student handbook. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
I think my only question is, you just mentioned that you told them when they're using their discernment, if they think that it might not pass to bring a change of clothes, are we allowing them that opportunity now? Because in the past, that wasn't.
Yes,
Okay.
so in our review of our procedures, when we have somebody who is a first-time offense, it is that we are going to allow for a change of clothes before we go to ISS. But certainly in talking with our administrators, there was some concern of, that being a repeat offense, that you'll just let me go change, you'll let me go change. So we did say if this is a repeat offense, that ISS may be used as necessary.
So I know in our conversations that we had about it, one of our concerns was we really wanted to get away from impeding on their educational time
Right.
and dealing with.
Absolutely. And we've talked about that, you know, if we need some, we all have some extra shirts around, if we need to, have a good supply of pants available so that we can get people back to instructional time. We don't need to miss instructional time for our clothing.
And that's the largest complaint that I've heard from parents is why are we taking them out of the classroom to deal with something that could be handled in just a couple of minutes? So I'm glad that that was addressed. Thank you. Any other questions or comments about the student handbook? Okay, now we will go into the budget changes discussion. Budget update. Paul?
Okay. There. No? Oh. Now? Now? It,
Was it green?
it is green.
It's green.
There it is.
It was green before. I am not colorblind. All, my wife would say I am, but I'm not. So tonight, just go over the, want to kind of bring you up to date on where we are currently on the budget. You've got a budget document in front of you. Right now, we are still looking at approximately just a $54,000 deficit next year, looking at an almost $29 million budget. So we are in good position, and projecting out to the future, we still look good. Of course, that's dependent on what happens with the legislature. At this point, I'm also projecting that we will, I think, end this year in a surplus, which is much better than where we thought we would be when we began this year. And that's after taking on to some additional expenses as we've gone through the year. So that ended up being a very positive thing. Then on the next page, page 2, the INS rate. Again, this year, we are going to, I think, end up in a surplus. That's largely due to the bond sale where we received some accrued interest that needed to go into the debt service fund. Otherwise, we would have been almost perfectly break even. The tax rate, which you will be discussing and approving the publication of that tax rate that we will adopt at the end of this month. For the debt service next year will be 0.4599. We had told the taxpayers when we passed the bond issue that it would not go above 46 cents. So we are right on target. And that puts us with a little surplus next year. Child nutrition services, as we grow, we continue to see additional income come in on both the federal and local sides. Projecting out, we will have a slight deficit, but going into the future, we hope to be on a positive. The next year, we continue to have to bring it down this year because of our surplus, but actually the year after that, they've changed the rules on what counts as a surplus, so we would not be in surplus anymore in the next year, but we still have to have a plan this year. So as we move forward, then the page 4 gets into the detail of what caused all the changes from one year to the next. Of course, the big changes continue to be, we emphasize our salaries and for our staff. We've also increased the biggest chunk is just salaries, and then also increase in supplies for both technology, athletics, and instructional. And then the next page, page 5, gets into where we looked at the major object. I am giving you this, normally I only give you this at the very end, but I give it to you in advance so you can get a good look at this. Where I project where we're going to be, where we started the year. If you want to notice the biggest changes on the revenue side, which normally doesn't change much from where we predict, The revenue drastically changed from our original budget this past year, where we said we were gonna get almost 12.3 million in taxes, and we're actually gonna get 11.3 million. So that's being offset by some on state aid. But that caused, those SB2 and SB12 changes that occurred that did not get impact until December. And so we had no idea what was coming and how much. So it's affected every school district that way. There is nobody that I have talked to or seen in meetings that hasn't complained about it and had discussions about it. But fortunately, we are, because of state aid and because of our enrollment, I do think we will end the year in a surplus when we still only have that slight deficit. And there, as you can see again, most of the money that its increases are going, or the budget for next year is going into salaries, which is where we expect it to go. Page 6 is just the same information, same from one year to the next, just by function. And then the interest and sinking fund on the next page, again, we are, because of the increased, the 2024 bond issue, we are going way up on what we will be collecting as taxes, but also way up on the expenses. So again, they're offsetting. But that is that 2024 bond issue being implemented. And then finally, Child Nutrition Services, just so you can see the projection, where we started, where we ended. As you can see again, we started with a low number, but we added a lot to it. But it is a much more it's a budget that's much more dependent on usage. If meals aren't sold, you're not buying as much food. So we have much greater cost that's variable versus a lot of fixed costs on salaries. We do have salaries that are fixed, but the biggest chunk in there is food service, is food. So, are there any questions?
Paul, we do have an audit scheduled for the food service piece this year.
Yes,
going
there
into
is a purchasing audit that is scheduled. It came as one email, then they changed it to a different email. So we're still a little confused and trying to get some information from them, but it's above and beyond our normal audit that we get from that we pay for. So it is going to be something unusual, but Carla has been preparing for it for almost the entire year. So, any other questions?
Thank you. Okay, so from there, we're gonna go into our reports. Are there any questions or comments on any of the department reports? Okay, and then Mrs. Eppley, your superintendent's report?
Yes, we're going to start with enrollment, and we have been enrolling with our online registration as well as in-person new student registration over the last couple of weeks. I do want to thank all of our staff, our registrars, everyone who helped with that process. It ran very smoothly. I think we, certainly we're bracing for the whole online. Maybe we left out a piece, but we felt really good about practicing it with some of our staff before we launched it, and I think it went very well. We'll continue to refine that process. Of course, at this point, we have an estimate of enrollment because once we have kids actually show on the first day, we'll register how many no-shows that we do have. But I will tell you, the radio station called today and asked me, are we still growing? And yes, the answer is absolutely yes. So I do want to emphasize, I did a comparison of May's totals. Again, thank you to our registrars for providing the updated information. If we're looking at elementary, we gained approximately 5 students in the pre-K area. Again, this is from May's numbers. 19 in kindergarten, 12 in first grade, and 18 in second grade, for a total of 57 more students than we ended the year with. If we estimate approximately 19 to 20 no-shows. That takes us to 38 students higher than we ended last year. That's bringing the elementary campus, if everyone shows, to 714 students. So third grade saw one of the largest increases from last year's number. That's a 55 student increase in third grade, 3 in fourth grade, and 62 in fifth grade. So that's bringing us to 120 new students at the intermediate campus. If we do a 20 no-show, that's 100 new students at the intermediate campus. Altogether, if everyone showed, that's 680 students. That would be up from 560. At the junior high level, we saw a decrease of 3 students in 6th grade so far, a 39 student increase in 7th grade, and 21 additional students in 8th grade, taking us to 57 additional students. If we take out 20 for no-shows, that's 37, but if everyone shows up, that's taking us from 568 students to 625. The high school saw some robust enrollment growth, 9th grade increasing by 27 students, 10th grade 16, 11th grade 36, and 12th grade 30. If we have approximately 35 no-shows, which is what we are looking at, that would take us to 74 new students. If not, if they all show up, that's 109 new students, taking us from 663 students to 772. So when we look at the big grand total, our peak projected enrollment by the demographer, and we usually hit peak somewhere between November and February, was 2,697 students. If everyone that is currently enrolled shows up, we're already 82 students over peak. If not, we're looking at approximately 30 to 32 over peak already. So certainly we are prepared for that. The board has helped us be prepared for that. We have a teaching position and a para position in reserve. So as we take note of where our people are showing up, where we have the need, we certainly saw an increase in students who are coming to us with service needs in the special education area. And so I anticipate that as we continue to meet those needs and see our testing results, we will likely need some more assistance in the special education arena. But yes, to answer Mr. Dunn's question, they are still coming, for sure. So, any questions on enrollment?
So I do have a question on the enrollment. Are the numbers that you are discussing current registered or just current enrollment based on what we had rolled over last year plus your registered students?
So this is our registered students.
Registered students, not just.
And the rolled, this will be the rolled piece that told us at the end of the year they were coming back.
Okay.
So that's why I'm estimating anywhere from that 20 to 35 per campus that will be no-shows. Just based on we didn't get them connected back in the re-registry part. And so we anticipate they may have moved on or won't show. But we've also had folks who, tend to enjoy their summer to the last possible second and then show up.
And you will have some that will show up after
Labor Day.
So
Yes, absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely.
you said that we have a teacher in a prayer position in reserve, but is that each campus, or we simply have that as a district? Because based on the numbers that you said, we're talking about multiple classrooms across multiple campuses. So
Yes.
that concerns me just a little bit from the standpoint of
Sure.
our principals fighting over that one allocation.
So the principals
based on
will,
need.
yes, the principals will tell you that in their Friday memo last Friday, I said everybody doesn't need to come running. We're going to scrutinize, because yes, right now the reserve is one teacher district-wide and one para. So before I come back to you guys, we're going to be looking at numbers. We are a district of innovation, so if we hit 23 students in a classroom, that is allowable. We're certainly going to look at what those needs are. Like I said, I think special ed will be an area we will probably need to come back to the board with. But at that point, we'll be looking at those allotments coming in. We'll be looking at the fact that we should be seeing some additional funding coming in based on the specific enrollment looking at master scheduling and where do we have opportunities to maximize staff. I think we've been very generous with staff about how they like their classes laid out, but if that means that only 5 students are in your class, we're gonna need to condense a class, and we're gonna have to, help maximize, just so that we're able to meet the needs of all of our students. And right now, we're looking at that, I can see them already discussing over there at the junior high and the high school maximization. And that's a big part of what we'll be working with right after we launch school. Dr. Kaufman and I will be sitting down with the principals, and we're gonna be talking about once we move over and that separate high school is there, and you can't just in 5 minutes walk down the sidewalk and go teach in another building. We really need to come to the board with a plan about where do we feel like we're gonna have to have those additional FTEs. So it is first and foremost in our mind, how are we maximizing currently, and then what is that gonna look like to bring to you guys early when we're talking about planning for next year. All right.
Any other questions on that?
So what's the overall total, additional people? Kids?
Additional kids, so in the books right now, if we have everybody show up, 331 additional students. If not, if we factor in those no-shows, it's 237. And he anticipated us at 250 new students at peak.
That's 10%, not even
Yeah.
starting.
Do we know, because I know we've had issues before and we've purchased some additional buses, do we have any idea right now what that impact may be on, even with the staggered times in terms of the busing for our students?
So yes, Brittany and I spoke, we had over 800 students registered so far to ride. As we've discussed before, in this district, we have a higher percentage of students who ride the bus than your average school district. Currently, we are down 5 drivers, but with staggered start, we believe we can still make all routes with our router and our director of sped still on site to help answer questions. If we have somebody sick or out, they jump into buses, but right now we feel like we're in a good spot. We of course are still advertising. If anybody wants paid training, we are ready to go. We have a trainer on staff, and we are ready to continue to, develop more drivers. Brittany, is there anything else I needed to add to that?
No, but I can update a little bit. So as of right now, we have actually routed 1,035 students.
Oh, wow. So today was a big day.
Yes,
A lot of kids.
it's been, yes, as you said that, I'm feeling the 300.
Yes.
But back to also, today was our first day of in-service. Everybody was there, so I'm very excited about that.
That's awesome.
So we will have a driver for every bus at the start of the school year as our routes are currently planned out. And right now, capacity-wise, we're in a good spot. We're in a good spot. And as you said, it still leaves myself and Christine actually in the office so that we can answer phone calls, dispatch, and do those things and support both the campuses as well as the drivers.
Okay, so just for those at home that are listening, because she's not on the microphone, I do want to make sure that everybody knows we're over 1,000 students now that are registered. We do have, we believe the staff all came back, which is always a great sign today, our first day back. But I do want to note as well, we have consolidated routes to make sure that can happen, and our stops to make sure that can happen. So some of the neighborhoods that were used to a more door-to-door service are now seeing 2 stops in their neighborhood. Had a few people reach out saying it's a little far for my student to walk. We are telling them we're gonna try to run these. If we still have time to add a few more stops, we'll evaluate that in the first few weeks. But this is for that hour timeline in between the start times of the 2 sets of campuses. We don't have the luxury to go to that door-to-door or even block-to-block stop. So, but we are evaluating it. We certainly have had those conversations about an after-action review once things get rolling. We do want to emphasize to everybody, please remember, it is something everyone tends to forget every year. Those first few weeks are always long. They always, wear on your patience. But it's because everyone is kind of testing things out. We'll have people who never use the bus. We'll have parents who want to use the bus most of the year, but that first few weeks want to take their kids. And so it really messes with the timing of things. And then just learning the ropes, the way that the traffic pattern works. But if everyone will be patient, going into that end of the second week, into the third week, it's like clockwork. We can really get it nice and tight. But we will be meeting daily in those first few weeks to address any concerns that come our way.
Just one more thing. We have all the buses that have been ordered before last year have been received, right?
Correct.
And the only ones that are outstanding are the last 3 that were approved by the board. Which are
Correct.
do you have a due date on those 3? Do you know? Have they said any more?
No, I think we ordered them in May, June, July, so 13 months, 16 months.
Right. So I do want to emphasize that thank you to our board for the purchase of those new buses. So all of our buses that will be en route, and because of the staggered start time, we were able to make sure they all have air conditioning. So that will be a big plus for us, especially as we continue to ramp up the heat all the way through October, it seems, now in Texas, that we're hot all the way through October. So we're excited to be able to offer that.
A couple of comments I have to the transportation point. One, the feedback I'm getting is there's really good communication this year. Everybody feels like they know what the expectation is, where their kids are supposed to be. So kudos to you guys on the communication from the transportation department, because I know that's been a struggle in the past. And I live in one of those subdivisions where they got used to the door-to-door. And so I've reiterated, look, before that, like when my kids were small and riding the bus, they had to walk a few blocks and they made it. And so, yeah, everybody will adjust. It'll be okay. And, you guys have done a really great job communicating that out. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Thank you. All right. If there's no other questions, I'll move on to calendar of events. I will tell you, we have been super thrilled in our Meet the Teacher nights, our open houses already that we've had, our ice cream socials. We're talking standing room only. And I know that our enrollment is increasing and our community is growing, but that doesn't always equate to engagement. And being able to get people in the door and being a partner with us is huge. Talking with our campus administrators, I've asked them to expect that to be the norm. So how we continue to welcome people in, give them opportunities to be engaged is very important as we continue to grow the district. I am always excited to encourage folks to go to the website where they can see upcoming events to be engaged. We are having our NHS freshman camp tomorrow. First day of school, of course, is Wednesday. We're looking forward to seeing everybody on that first day of school. All of the fall sports are gearing up. We've got volleyball tournaments, we've got football scrimmages, cross-country invitationals happening. So encourage everybody to check those out. Tennis is already excelling. We've won all of our games so far in the matches that we've done. Excited to start our bond oversight and facilities planning meetings. We reached out to the community already. We have 24 individuals who want to be a part of that. We're also inviting back anyone who was on the master planning committee, and our elementary architect will be a part of those committee meetings. So I do want to emphasize that. Those are opportunities for the community to weigh in on those designs and what we're looking for, but also we have built in before those meetings start, meetings with campus administration as well as department heads. So we're getting feedback from our staff about what that elementary can look like and how it can best serve students. And then I'm excited about September 25th, we have the intermediate open house, and we'll be designing a student feedback workshop as part of that open house. So they'll be able to go through some stations, and students will be able to give feedback about colors they like, you know, the look of things, spaces, how they think cubbies should look, really getting everybody's voice on that process. We have a student holiday on August 30th, Labor Day on the 2nd, and as Ms. Gosh pointed out, some of our families like to wait until after Labor Day to come back to school, so we'll be welcoming some new folks probably after that. And then we're right into celebrating Grandparents' Day with our grandparents' lunches on the 5th through the 10th of September. Always excited to attend FFA Panther Fest on the 7th, so coming out for tractor pull and great dinner and auction. It's such a great time. They'll have an ESL parent meeting on the 10th. I'm really proud of the engagement that has happened with our ESL families. As I mentioned at convocation, we have seen our students really thrive and be able to be exited out of the program, learning English, really feeling comfortable sharing their culture here. It's exciting to see that program flourishing. And then, of course, we'll have our Panther Run pep rally when we have our football game on the 13th versus Canyon Lake, and regional jazz auditions on the 14th, and our board meeting back again on the 16th. So always a great day to be a Panther, always a lot of great things happening, so we encourage our community and our families to be engaged. We did anticipate that the A through F ratings would be released on the 15th. However, today, Judge in Travis County did block the release of those ratings. And so, at least temporarily, those are blocked. So I did want to let you know as an event, that is a currently canceled event. So we'll be waiting to see what happens with that. Any questions?
District financial reports.
Paul, you have anything? No.
Anybody have any questions on anything? Okay, we'll move on to safety and security update.
Good evening. Is it on? Oh. Paul? You broke it. Okay, there we go. Good evening. I want to take a second to go ahead and give you an update on where we are with the safety and security for this summer. Right now we've got the fencing project going underway. I'm sure you've seen a lot of the fencing going around, especially at the elementary campus. You got that ornamental 8-foot fencing that's around the playgrounds. Some added features we've added since I guess last semester. Some additional cameras. We went to a whole new platform as far as how we retain some of our footage here. So we've upgraded the systems, added some doorbell AV systems to our campuses. You'll see those at the junior high and the high school. We've added some swipe card locations to some of our campuses. We've increased the number of vape sensors we've had here at the district. We are wrapping up our window film with a phase 1. Later in consent, you have a phase 2 in there that we'll be talking about later on. Fencing, we've added about 5,000 linear feet of fencing to the district. Here's our threat assessment teams for the district. It's comprised of officers, directors, administrators, nurses, counselors. I just wanted you guys to be aware of who's on our threat assessment teams this year. We will have a training next month. It's hosted by FBI and San Antonio Emergency Management, so we're really getting excited for that training next month coming up. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Are the vape sensors only at the high school? Are they at the junior high too, or all campuses?
No, they're on multiple campuses.
Multiple?
Yes.
Good answer.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and if there's nothing further on that, we're gonna move into the consent agenda. Were there any questions about any of the items under the consent agenda? If not, can I hear a motion to accept?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, the consent agenda, Lacey has moved to accept and Dan has second. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? No opposing, it's gonna pass 4-0. action items, and our first action item is gonna be to consider the public hearing to set the tax rate. You're just the star tonight, Paul.
It is that time of year.
It is.
The only time of year where anybody notices that I exist.
That is not true.
Be money, be money.
Okay, there we go. So, we have to, by law, set this notice, of the tax rate, set the budget, meeting for, and the notice to adopt the tax rate, in advance. This notice that is attached to the agenda item, shows that we are planning on the maintenance tax rate of 0.7228, which is, as we've been discussing, and is the lowest, the highest rate we can adopt according to the TEA and the, calculations done by the tax assessor as well. And the 0.4599, which is the debt service rate that was also calculated by the tax assessor collector, and again, will suffice to cover our, expenses next year. Again, this notice, is published in the newspaper. It will be published on, Wednesday of this week. It has to be in the paper within 10 days before the meeting, which is why it's scheduled, and we have to schedule it that early. Just highlights of the notice. The one area that I like to highlight is the comparison of proposed levy with last year's. So you'll notice that the average taxable value last year was $236,000. This year, taxable value is $245,000. The average market value actually went down from $385,000 to $365,000, which was a little interesting. But because we had that big increase from 2 years ago, where when everybody went up, of course I know mine did, everybody went up almost 30%, at least in some instances. We're still using some of that was basically banked, because you can only increase the taxable value by 10% a year. So we're still getting some of that back. So that's why that taxable value has gone up a little bit. So the comparison of last year's rate to this year's rate, we're going up by a little over 4 cents, and that is all in the debt service rate. So, any questions?
Any questions? Okay, so what I'm reading here is that we're making a motion to approve the notice of public hearing. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
That is correct? Okay, so if I can hear a motion on that, please.
I make a motion to approve the notice of public meeting date, August 28, 2024, to discuss the 2024-2025 budget and proposed tax rate.
Okay, any further discussion on that? All right, motion made by Clint, second by Lacey. All in favor? None opposed, passing 4-0. All right, thank you. Okay, 10B is gonna be amending the student code of conduct.
All right, board members, as you know, annually you have the opportunity to amend the student code of conduct. And so presented to you today is the amended version of this. This template comes to us from Walsh Gallegos, and the changes were the removal of repeated names of the superintendent and a removal of the corporal punishment rule. So those are the changes in the student code of conduct, and it is available for you to take action to amend.
Does anybody have any discussion or questions on that before we move forward? Okay, if I can hear a motion on that, please.
I move to approve the amended 24-25 Navarro ISD student code of conduct, that the updated student code of conduct can be publicized on the district's website.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? Okay, motion by Dan, second by Clint, all in favor? And there's no opposed, so that's approved 4-0 also. Okay, action item C is gonna be to consider and take possible action adopting a written resolution authorizing the purchase of approximately 20.163 acres situated, sorry, the light is on me, situated in the M. Chirino Survey A-10 Guadalupe County, Texas from Gary Wayne Minnick.
Board members, as you know, part of our master planning is to have a site in the north, which with your approval, we acquired earlier this year for an elementary school. This is the site in the south for the elementary school that we will be building with the Bond 2024 funds. It is our goal to close on that property this week, so we are seeking approval from the board to have action to do so.
Any questions, comments? Okay, then can I hear a motion for the resolution for the purchase on that?
I move to approve that the board adopt the resolution as presented by the superintendent authorizing the purchase of an approximate 20.163 acre tract situated in the M. Chirino Survey, A-10, Guadalupe County, Texas, from Gary Wayne Minnick.
A motion by Lacey, second by Dan. Any further discussion, comments? Okay, all in favor? All right, motion passes 4-0. Item D, consideration or action to approve an agreement for the purchase of attendance credit and to delegate contractual authority to the superintendent.
I just am.
It was not your
There,
favorite.
no, this does not like me. It is not my night. So this is a requirement to adopt, as we, the TEA, we got a notice from TEA, they project that we will have excess, I put that in air quotes there, excess revenue, that we will need to offset from the state aid. That is the easiest way to give this back to them. They're projecting around 49,000, I'm projecting around 22,000. As you know, we actually adopted this last year, with the assumption that it would be up to $80,000, and ended up, by the end of this year, we owe them nothing after everything that has occurred. So it can happen again. But this is a requirement for us to go through this process. The motion that is listed in there must be exact. It is absolutely something else, but it has to be exact, and I have been told, they even say they will deny it if it's not exactly like that in the minutes. It's kind of crazy, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
So I apologize for that, for the wording and for the length, but that is a requirement, that it be adopted in exactly that manner. So it is already built into the budget. I budgeted in that reduction based on my calculations, not theirs. Which is how we always budget, is based on our calculations using the projected spreadsheets that we get from Region 13. Are there any questions?
Okay, if there are no questions, then can I get a motion on that action, please?
I move to approve the following motion. For the 2024-2025 school year, we delegated contractual authority to obligate the school district under Texas Education Code, TEC 11.1511C4 to the superintendent, solely for the purpose of obligating the district under TEC 48.257 and the TEC Chapter 49, subchapters A and D, and the rules adopted by the Commissioner of Education as authorized under TEC 49.006. This included approval of the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit or the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit netting Chapter 48 funding.
Okay, any further discussion on that? Okay, motion was made by Clint, it was seconded by Dan. All in favor? No opposing, that's gonna pass 4-0. Okay, and then finally, we are getting to one of the high points of our evening. To discuss and take action on an order of the trustee election and posting the notice for November elections. Chelsea?
Trustees, the action item before you is pursuant to Texas Election Code Section 41.001 to be on the November uniform election date. It is also being presented as follow-up to the consent agenda just approved to contract for election services with Guadalupe County for November 2024 election. The order of trustee elections and post notice for November elections is being called for the purpose of electing 3 board of trustee at-large positions to each serve 4-year terms beginning November 2024 to November 2028, and 1 unexpired board of trustee at-large position serving a 2-year term beginning November 2024 through November 2026. The uniform election date for 2024 is Tuesday, November the 5th. The 3 full-term positions up for election are the seats currently held by Mrs. Renee Rayfield, Mrs. Melissa Sartain, and Mr. Clint Scheib, and the 1 unexpired term is the current vacant position previously held by Mr. Hank Dieter. Candidates seeking to have their names placed on the ballot for election shall file a written application and submit to the Secretary of the Board of Trustees or the elections agent at Navarro ISD Central Administrative Office, and applications can also be submitted by email to communications@nisd.us. The posted notice of filing states the deadline to submit applications is Monday, August 19th, 2024 by 5 p.m. And the applications can be found online at www.nisd.us/elections, or a printed packet can be provided at central office.
Any questions? Okay, do I hear a motion on that?
I move to approve the order of regular elections on November 5th, 2024 for Navarro Independent School District for the purpose of electing 3 Board of Trustees at-large positions for 4-year terms and 1 unexpired Board Trustee at-large position for a 2-year term, and approve the posting of notice of election.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, motion was made by Clint, second by Lacy. All in favor? Sorry, motion was made by Lacy, second by Clint. All in favor? All right, motion carries 4-0. And with that, it is 7:42 p.m. We are going to close open session and go into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074 to discuss the duties of the superintendent. Pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074 to discuss the employment and resignations of professional personnel to include teachers and other professionals. And pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.072 to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Any related actions to these will be taken in open session. I'm green, but it's
And
not
it's
on.
scrimmages, varsity freshman grade.
I know, but did she make the freshman team?
No, she's
Hello?
freshman.
There you go.
She's only ninth grade.
Okay, we are reconvening in open session at 8:30. Do I hear any motions? Okay, with there being no motions, we're gonna go ahead and adjourn at 8:31.
I don't know why I thought she was